Chapter 217 Those beneath intermediate level do not have the qualifications. The road of cultivation had always been slow and dry. A lot of people loathe studying. They think studying is a very boring and dry thing. The truth is, even if you were to do something that you really like doing, if you were to do it without resting for a whole 365 days, then it would also become boring and disgusting. It would become not just hating studying, but being unable to go back to the mindset of finding it fun. In this world, the experience Mo Fan was the most familiar with was the fact that the process of magic cultivation was equally dry and boring. When that refreshing feeling slowly disappeared after months and years, all that supported him to not waste even a little bit of his time every single day was the motivation to become even stronger. Since the days were countable, then one just had to persevere. Just like practicing control, the control of every star was basically like focusing on placing down domino tiles. Your heart cannot waver in this process, or no matter how much work you put into controlling the stars, they would all drop down because of the small mistake you made. From linking a star path to drawing up a star atlas, each of the controlled stars were like domino tiles. The energy could be 100 or even 1,000 times greater. In order to complete the star atlas even better and faster, it required daily practice. In any situation where there were external disturbances, the stars would almost always fail when interlinking. When controlling the stars, the heart would always waver. So when it came to battles that concerned life and death, then one would be even less perfect in execution. I am very gratified. This is because, from the day of the rookie competition until now, I've seen the growth of many people. I remember not too long ago, there were many who regarded the main campus examination as a devil lingering around our Azure campus. It overlooked you, encouraged you, and it caused you to bitterly cultivate for it. This was not wrong. Whether it was hearing it from others, or experiencing it, or you received this information regarding the main campus from somewhere else, I believe none of them are rumors. I think the reality will be even more cruel. The Azure campus is the final destination for your youthful cultivation. It is the little pond of warmth before you face the torrents and waterfalls. The real magic development happens in the next station. No matter how wronged, unfair, and how much you've suffered, you need to suppress it on your own. No one will sympathize with the weak. At the general meeting of the school, Dean Xiao, who had always been benevolent and kind toward all the students, suddenly changed. These words caused a lot of people to feel uncomfortable. Their most beloved Dean Xiao had turned into what seemed to be a magic demon coach that didn't care about anything but magic. Could it be that the competition within the main campus was actually that cruel? Could it be that those with a background and power can stir trouble as they want, while those without a background and have an average strength can only hide in the corner? Any students that have yet to reach the intermediate level do not have the qualifications to undertake the main campus examination. Those who remain in the Azure campus are only allowed to stay for 3 years. In these 3 years, you have the privilege to enjoy the resources and various benefits of being a student of the Pearl Institute. However, if you cannot break into the intermediate level within 3 years, then please do not consider yourselves students of the Pearl Institute after you leave. Dean Xiao's words were like thunder as they reverberated within the minds of the students. If they don't break through within 3 years, they were no longer students of Pearl Institute? Wasn't that rather inhumane? Those who aren't intermediate magicians, you may leave. This is not your battleground. Dean Xiao seemed as though he had changed to someone else, causing a lot of the students to feel a bit unwilling. The Dean Xiao today was no longer the same teacher that drew up a beautiful future for everyone. He was just like a demon that compared everyone. He was ruthless as he drove out the weak. Did you not understand? Weaklings are not suitable to become the real students of our Pearl Institute. What you need to do is to be able to raise your head high with your chest out when you hear these words next year, and stay. Now, you can go put in effort for the next year. Although there were a few complaints within the crowd of people, there was not a single person who would dare to refute him. Gradually, the students who had been in Azure campus for a while began to walk away. Their faces carried unwillingness and humiliation as they left. As for the new students, they were just standing there blankly. Perhaps it was their first time experiencing this kind of treatment for strength. In the past, no matter what level the students were, the school would definitely receive criticism for their discrimination. After seeing the senior students leaving, there were some people who also began to take steps and walk away. Li Junhao, let's go, a man said to his friend. Why? I'm this close to breaking through. Why won't they let us participate in the main campus examination? The student called Lee Junhao said. Let's go, we'll definitely stay in next year. Damn it. Damn it. Damn it. These people, really, what are they feeling bad about? If you don't have the qualifications, then you just don't. Staying in the Azure campus is pretty good as well. Guoguo, let's go. I know you are also feeling bad, don't worry, I'll treat you to some food, an indifferent, sloppy-looking guy said to his female friend. You can go. The girl, Guoguo, stood her ground. What's the point of just staying here? They are only intermediate. The sloppy man suddenly realized something as he looked at the girl in shock. He gasped, You broke through to intermediate? Yeah, I've been meaning to tell you. However, all you do every single day is mix with that gang of scoundrels. I believe I will finally have some results today. The girl, Guoguo, appeared to be very indifferent. She would stay there, and he would leave. The conversation between the guy and the girl was accidentally heard by Mo Fan nearby. After seeing the sloppy student leaving with a depressed spirit, Mo Fan couldn't help but sigh. It's not that the girl was heartless. When two people are pursuing two different things, then there was no point to walk together. Mo Fan actually admired the decision made by the girl called Guoguo. Really, girls always seem to like those with money, good looks, and those who would make girls happy. How do you expect those guys who are average-looking, but powerful, to live like that? There were many people who had been putting effort into their cultivation because of the saying, if you're ugly, then you should learn magic. Only those people putting more effort into their cultivations were more suitable for these kind of girls. People began to leave. The students nowadays had hearts of glass. All they did was suffer from a little unfairness, but acted like they had suffered from an enormous injustice. If Mo Fan himself was still in primary level, he would definitely be the first one to leave. Weak. Telling you to leave is also good. If you were to meet a magical beast, then the magical beast would tear you apart, just because you're weak. There were around 50,000 students at the school meeting. It was different from the main campus examination in the past, where everyone could participate, but the frequency of disqualification was equally high. This time, Dean Xiao directly cut off all of those who had yet to reach intermediate level. This kind of courage was not something an ordinary teacher could do, either. Chapter 218 The Great Hunt. Those who stayed, congratulations on being admitted to the main campus area. Dean Xiao's attitude changed. No way, we got admitted just like that? Didn't they say we have an exam? Yeah, why are there no exams? Are we really not taking any tests? If there were some people at the primary level staying, then wouldn't they have profited from it? Would that still count? The people remaining seemed to be about 1,000. This number had indeed exceeded the imaginations of many. However, when they thought about it, it made sense. Entering the intermediate level and being able to unleash an intermediate magic were two different concepts. It could be assumed that among the crowd of people, there would be quite a few that had entered the intermediate level, but were relatively far from being able to draw the star atlas. If there's no examination, then how do we determine the top 10? I heard the one who gets first place will be allowed to enter the 3-step pagoda. The second place and third places could obtain a magic tool. The 4th to 10th places would be able to obtain some other rewards. Someone immediately objected. Dean Xiao seemed to have anticipated this kind of discussion. He waited until everyone had finished talking, before he slowly fished out a scroll from his breast pocket that contained instructions. A few days ago, we received some information. A shadow beast the government used for taming has escaped due to problems with its supervision. The shadow beast possesses some of the shadow elemental abilities, and it is able to hide really well in the night. At the same time, it's very hard to find them as they sneak through the city in the day. This shadow beast has gone through special training, so it won't take the initiative to attack human beings, nor would it try to massacre them. Right now, it is like a wandering cat as it was in some place inside Shanghai. Our school is supposed to be assisting the government. The second we find any kind of trail of the shadow beast, we are to notify them immediately. Right now, I want you guys to catch this shadow beast alive and return it to the government. This will be the placement examination for the main campus. After Dean Xiao announced this mission, the 1,000 people began to talk in a loud buzz. They'd heard that this main campus examination could possibly be a large-scale battle royale. They originally thought it was going to be a competition between students. However, it turned out it was actually a military mission. What is worth mentioning is that the shadow beast won't attack humans on its own. nor does it have the intention to slaughter others. However, when it gets attacked or pursued, its temperament will change greatly. Its danger level would be no less than that of a regular magical beast. That is why when you find the shadow beast and are going to catch it, you will need to outline a plan first. The students or the group that catches it and delivers it to the school's beast cage will obtain the reward. If a single person finishes it, then that person will receive the reward. If it's a group, with a limit of 5, then they will divide the reward among themselves. The reward is obtaining an opportunity to enter the 3-step pagoda. Dean Xiao said, 3-step pagoda, heavens, it's the 3-step pagoda. As the words left Dean Xiao's mouth, 1,000 students nearly went crazy. Even the students within the main campus would fight among themselves for the 3-step pagoda. This time, Dean Xiao had actually given out 5 spots. Mo Fan had personally entered the 3-step pagoda to cultivate. He was very clear on just what kind of frightening cultivation speed it could bring magicians. If he had directly charged into the 3rd layer, then that 200x cultivation would have been incredibly useful. If he was given a couple more days, then Mo Fan firmly believed that he would be able to increase his other elements to a whole new level. The first day after coming out of the 3-step pagoda, Mo Fan made a promise to himself that he would definitely return to the 3-step pagoda once more. Who would have known that happiness would come this quickly? The reward for the main campus examination this time would actually be an opportunity to enter the 3-step pagoda. Good, that's too good. The current him was able to enter the 3rd layer. If he was able to cultivate within the 3rd layer for 7 days, Mo Fan's shadow element and summoning element would both increase to the 2nd level. A student who was standing relatively close to the platform excitedly asked, Dean, are there any hints or trails? Dean Xiao shook his head and said, you'll have to go find it on your own. Happiness was happiness, and being excited was excited. However, this mission had no hints or clues, and thus had already become a massive obstacle for the 1,000 or so students that were taking the test. If you were to add in the outskirts of the city to the entirety of Shanghai, it was an incredibly big area. There were numerous alleys and streets. At this moment, they weren't able to determine which area of the city the shadow beast was in. Trying to find a shadow beast with the ability to conceal itself within this incredibly busy large city, that was like trying to fish a needle from the sea. Mo Fan really needed to enter the 3-step pagoda once more. When he entered the 3rd layer, he had focused on cultivating the fire element. He had already touched upon the door of the 3rd level of fire magic. If he was given 2 more days, then his fire nebula would definitely reach the 3rd level. Beneath the advanced level, Mo Fan had no need to be afraid of anyone. Apart from this, Mo Fan's shadow element could be classified as having only just entered the nebula stage. Control of his giant shadow spikes star atlas had been cultivated by Mo Fan within the 3-step pagoda. Otherwise, he would have needed more than half a year before he would be able to cast it. What was originally nearly impossible to do was now something that he was very familiar with. As for the summoning element, there was no need to mention it. Mo Fan was still unable to draw the summoning element's intermediate star atlas. The time within the 3-step pagoda was far too limited. Mo Fan had only focused on his fire and lightning cultivation. The next time he entered the 3-step pagoda, Mo Fan would have 2 options. Either he would charge into the 3rd level of the fire element, or he could raise the level of his shadow and summoning elements. In short, for someone like Mo Fan that had so many elements, being able to enter the 3-step pagoda once would result in his strength increasing by at least 1 level. The shadow beast, if only Ling Ling was here, it would be great. She is an expert in pursuing beasts. She was even able to find those creatures that hid beneath human skin. This kind of shadow beast would be simply nothing for her, Mo Fan said to himself. Mo Fan could already be considered a high-level hunter. He was also at his wits' end, so he had no idea where to start. After returning to his room, Mo Fan opened his computer with the intentions of looking up materials regarding the shadow beast. He wanted to see if the shadow beast had some kind of special habit. Mo Fan, since the examination this time allows you to form groups, why don't you join our beautiful girls group? Look, with me who is so filled with knowledge, the knowledgeable and powerful big sister Mew, you who is fierce and is super capable of fighting, and 2 others who possess very good controlling abilities, we would definitely be invincible. I Tutu immediately charged into the living room as she said this to Mo Fan, her face filled with excitement. Her two jade hairs were bouncing back and forth in front of Mo Fan. Mo Fan raised his head as he looked at the I-Tutu, whose face was filled with expectations, and then he glanced at Mu Nujiao, who was changing her shoes. Find someone else. Mo Fan shook his head, as he didn't plan on going with them. Don't tell me you're planning on doing it by yourself. How could you be like that? We, the beautiful girl group, invited you with such sincerity. Don't you know how bad your reputation in school is? There is no one who would want to be in the same group as you. Other than Sister Mu and I, who don't avoid you. Who would have thought that you'd be this selfish, and even reject us? I will bite you to death. I-Tutu spewed out as she became flustered. Tutu, stop causing trouble. Mu Nujiao immediately stopped her. Mo Fan didn't feel like explaining it to I-Tutu. The truth was, it was not that Mo Fan didn't want to form a group with others. After all, there was no difference between the rewards one person got, and a group of 5. However, Mo Fan was very clear on his current situation. Perhaps the Black Vatican didn't dare to make too much noise within the perimeter of the school, but once they exited the school, they would dare to do anything. Mo Fan didn't want to involve these two girls into his own matters. The Black Vatican would definitely not be lenient just because they were beautiful. Chapter 219, Setting a Trap. When the Black Vatican did things, they tend to use sly schemes. Right now, there were no movements from them, which only signified that they had been scheming in order to have it all done at once. Their most beautiful opportunity to make a move would be the unavoidable main campus examination. The main campus examination couldn't exactly disappear. If it did not take place, that would only notify the Black Vatican that the different powers were on guard against them. Furthermore, the Pearl Institute couldn't exactly cancel such an important matter just because they were suspicious. Forget it, let's not think about these things. Let's find the Shadow Beast first. Monkey, you're currently in the army, right? Mo Fan called Zhang Xiaohu's number. Yeah, Brother Fan, let me tell you, I'm really amazing right now. As soon as Zhang Xiaohu heard Mo Fan calling, the serious demeanor he had built up within the army suddenly turned into a child trying to brag about his grades as he began boasting. Did you apply to the central section on your own? Mo Fan asked, feeling slightly shocked. Zhang Xiaohu seemed to have mixed in well with the army. The army was making efforts to nurture him. Although he had to go through a year of central section training, he would be promoted to an officer once he returned. Yeah, you can learn a lot of things from there. Brother Fan, did you need something from me? Zhang Xiaohu asked. After their separation in Bo City, Zhang Xiaohu had chosen to enter the army. He chose a road that a majority of the students did not take, while Mo Fan went to Shanghai and competed within his school. The two of them walked different paths, but that did not affect their friendship. Yeah, I want to know more about one of the domesticated beasts in the army, the Shadow Beast, Mo Fan said. I'm not responsible for that area. However, I do have a companion who specializes in taking care of shadow beasts. I might not be able to get extremely classified information, but the more common things won't be a problem, Zhang Xiaohu said. Zhang Xiaohu's work ethic was quite high. Mo Fan called him in the morning, and by the afternoon, he had already sent the materials regarding the shadow beast over to Mo Fan. Brother Fan, if you are ever around the central section of the army, come and find me. I really miss you. I will. Brother Fan, you must be really impressive now, right? Of course. Brother Fan, you are still so immodest. Zhang Xiaohu's companion really helped Mo Fan a lot. The materials stated that the shadow beasts that had been domesticated had an extreme craving for beef. They would have to eat at least half a cow every day. If you wanted to find a wandering shadow beast within Shanghai, then you'd have to start finding clues from some of the beef processing factories within Shanghai. Mo Fan wasn't in a hurry to go to the beef processing factories. Shanghai was a colossal city. The larger beef processing factories might not number 1,000, but there would at least be 800. To find a shadow beast was easier said than done. Soon enough, Mo Fan arrived at a police station. A high-tier hunter's identity was no less than that of an officer. Mo Fan was able to use the police to help him find information regarding thefts. Mr. Hunter, the reports that you wanted have been sorted. Since most of these are trivial matters, and a lot of these are about stealing and destroying meat, these kind of cases would at most have us sending some people over to take a look and take a report. For it to be completely investigated is rather impossible, the female officer said to Mo Fan. All right, thank you. Another thing, if someone makes a report regarding theft or destruction of meat, then please notify me as soon as possible. These are my contact details. Mo Fan said to the female officer who helped him find the information. All right. The female officer seemed to be a rather new worker. She was very enthusiastic toward most things. After leaving the police station, Mo Fan returned home to browse through the materials of these thefts and destroyed meat. The frequency of these events are relatively high within the Pudong district. Most of the recent cases are along Wan Street. This place should be close to the harbor. The imported meat would all be stored around here before they use trucks to deliver it across the city. Mo Fan quickly had a direction to work from. On the same day, Mo Fan went to Wan Street, which was near the harbor in Pudong district. Having the identity of a high-tier hunter made it very convenient getting things done. As long as he was investigating a case, especially one related to magical beasts, the workers would definitely cooperate and tell him everything they knew. Mo Fan had arrived at the beef storehouse and began to cautiously investigate the area. The materials given to him by Zhang Shahou stated that the shadow beast was a creature whose tail tends to shed hair. The lost hair would have a fluorescent glow. Thus, if he was trying to find the location of the shadow beast, it would be very easy to use the fluorescent light from the tail hair to determine whether it had appeared in this area or not. After searching through more than 20 beef storage areas in succession, Mo Fan finally came to a beef storage area that was not carefully maintained, and found a fluorescent tail hair. The lost tail hair will disintegrate into dust within 7 days. This hair has almost turned into dust. His investigation did not let him find the exact location of the shadow beast. All it did was to tell him that it had been around this area. The time it stayed here was relatively short. Finding the clues here were of no use. Mo Fan could only leave to find the next suspicious area. Not too long after Mo Fan had left the beef storage, another team of people came over. Furthermore, each one of them began to look over the different beef storages. Brothers, could it be a real magical beast appeared? There was already someone who came by before to take a look, a worker said as he trembled in fear. Oh, there's someone who would come here before us? Shen Mingxiao asked, feeling slightly shocked. Shen Mingxiao was also one of the more reputable people within the school. He had relied on the connections he had within the Hunter Union to come all this way, and thought he was the very first one to obtain these clues. Who would have thought that someone had already been here? It seems like we need to be even faster. If it was found by someone else first, that would be bad, Luo Song said. Don't worry, the shadow beast can only be ours, Sheng Mingxiao declared. After Mo Fan left the beef warehouses, he began to proceed toward the Huangpu River. Hello, who is this? Just when Mo Fan was about to reach the next area, his phone began to ring. Mr. Hunter, it's me. I have just gotten a tip that there was a huge amount of beef being stolen by an old meat vendor in Shujiang'an. Do you want to go and take a look? The female officer inside the police station called to say. All right, I'll go and take a look. Thank you, I'll treat you to a meal next time, Mo Fan said. Oh, a man with a mask covering half his face was standing in a parking lot by a very common convenience store, a cold expression on what was left of his features. A completely black creature was standing next to him. Its long claws were wrapped around the cold and sweaty female officer's throat. If the beast's claws closed lightly, then the policewoman's blood would definitely splash everywhere. You've done well. I won't kill you. This, however, does not mean I won't kill your family. So, if you want your family to live, then you better not tell this to anyone. The man with the mask said, an ominous glint in his eyes. The truth was, he wanted to kill people. After his face had been ruined, he had imagined every single person he had killed off to be Mo Fan. However, he didn't kill this policewoman. If she died, then the people of Magic Court would rapidly be in pursuit of him. The Black Vatican enjoyed slaughter. Killing people didn't need any logic behind it, but before they killed someone, they would make sure it didn't bring them any trouble. Chapter 220 Entering the Trap by Mistake. Along the Huangpu River bank, there was light coming from a high location from afar. These lights were flickering in different colors as they reflected on the surface of the river. Following the movement of the stream, it looked like a floating, colored ribbon in the dark. A heavy odor similar to excrement drifted by, instantly ruining the beautiful scenery. This was followed by a number of black figures coming out of the river, one by one. The odor came precisely from these figures. The 5 figures were in the front. They looked like they were chasing away animals as they let out a severe, excoriating noise. They began to swiftly move toward Shujiang'an, because they had to gather there before their objectives got there. Wei Si, you stay outside. The second you see our objective, notify me immediately. The man wore a long gray cloak that covered his body, and a mask covering his face. The 5 of them were all wearing long, gray cloaks. All of their bodies emitted a strange odor, and from one glance, you could tell they weren't good people. Yes, sir. The person called Wei Si immediately stood guard outside. They entered a rather shabby factory. This factory seemed like it recycled lower quality meat, as it smelled like meat everywhere. There were a lot of other things mixed together with it, so it smelled more like dog food, and could still be sold for a good price somewhere. The factory had some machines in operation. However, there was not a single person inside, perhaps no one within 100 meters. Once we've gotten our objective, remember he needs to be alive. Do not fail, or else you know what will happen. Wei Yi pointed at the dark beasts crawling around the floor, who only knew how to listen to orders. The other 3 people glanced at the dark beasts, and couldn't help but shiver coldly. The scariest part about the Black Vatican was that once you've made a mistake, then the punishment you got was even worse than dying. Outside of the factory, a man with a purple outfit slowly approached. His eyes were very solemn in the middle of the night. Lulu, you stay here. I'll go in and take a look, the guy said toward the girl next to him with a high ponytail. Don't go in. They look very dangerous. Zhaoting, why are you following these people? Just what are those half-human, half-monster things? The girl with the high ponytail called Lulu said. When he unintentionally caught a whiff of an unusual odor from a student, Xu Zhaoting seemed like he had turned into a different person. Zhang Lulu did not understand just what had happened. She could only follow Xu Zhaoting. Don't ask, you stay here. If I don't come back within 10 minutes, you must leave immediately. Remember, don't stay here, Xu Zhaoting said in a very serious tone. Originally, Xu Zhaoting and Zhang Lulu were looking for the clues of the shadow beast together. However, when they were looking for clues around a playground, Xu Zhaoting caught a whiff of a very unusual odor. This odor was something Xu Zhaoting would never forget. That's because this was a smell emitted from a creature with a pitch-black body that had appeared during the calamity of Bo City. Xu Zhaoting really hoped that his own sense of smell had a problem. However, when he was stealthily following that student, he had discovered that the student was a dark beast. Black Vatican. It was the people from the Black Vatican. They seemed to be scheming something again. Xu Zhaoting hated the people from the Black Vatican to the bones. They were the people that caused his family's death. Near Xu Zhaoting's home was a lair tunnel. When he went to the different districts to find his family with a depressed spirit, he only found a white paper with names. His father, mother, little brother, and grandma's name were all on the white paper. He had survived, but suddenly, he was by himself. Xu Zhaoting did his best to forget about it. He wanted to live again in a new environment. He met an alright girl. Being with her made him very happy. This made him forget about the pain. However, today, he smelled this odor. This kind of odor was emitted from a student in the Pearl Institute. When he had pursued that student to this place, he had actually discovered this student was a member of the Black Vatican. This factory seemed to be their nest. He had to go in there to confirm it. If that really was the case, he will immediately notify the magic courts to have them come here. These godforsaken Black Vatican. He had to completely eliminate all of them from this world. Xu Zhaoting had already slowly infiltrated the factory. The factory was immensely large. There were many places for him to hide. Xu Zhaoting was confident in being able to protect himself. Zhang Lulu was waiting outside. She did not have any movement spells, so the only thing she could do was wait outside and guard. She was very worried. She didn't know who these people were. However, she could feel that they were extremely savage. If Xu Zhaoting was discovered, then his life might not be guaranteed. Xu Zhaoting had awakened his second element. His second element was the wind element. This was a relatively good thing for him. He needed a spell that allowed him to move quickly. Otherwise, he'd have a strong destructive lightning, but no abilities to protect himself with. Xu Zhaoting had infiltrated through a broken window. He was standing on one of those crossed steel bars as he overlooked the large and spacious factory. They were indeed here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Strange. Why are they missing one? Xu Zhaoting was watching this from up top, and had only discovered 4 gray-cloaked people hiding here. They looked like they were awaiting someone to ambush. Are you looking for me? A dark and cold voice spoke up from behind him. Shu Jiaoting's face was shocked as he looked behind him. He realized one of them was standing at a place not too far behind him. Shu Jiaoting was stunned. How did he find him? Could it be that they actually set up a trap inside this factory? Impossible. When he was following them before, there was no way they were able to discover him. Lightning strike, wrath strike. Shu Jiaoting's reaction was fairly quick. He quickly condensed lightning within his hands. The imprints of lightning immediately appeared in his surroundings as Shu Jiaoting quickly interlinked his stars. They turned into a couple of purple serpents as they flew toward the person behind him. The lightning would conduct through the steel bars. These conducted lightnings were able to win him an opportunity at a key moment. It's the lightning element. The objective has appeared. Catch him. The Wei Yi, who looked like he was the leader, immediately raced over. The other three had already prepared a trap. Following the order, black figures emerged from all of the exits and windows. A strong smell of excrement began to rise all around. Shu Jiaoting looked around his surroundings in shock, and realized that he had been completely surrounded. In the front were around 10 of them, on the beam of the steel bar were 7. From the exit and windows, there were around another 8. There was a total of 25 dark beasts. Shu Jiaoting could never have imagined that they had actually set up a trap here to surround him. Just how were they able to discover he was following them? I'm gonna kill you, Shu Jiaoting yelled out, his face filled with extreme rage.